Caitlin Clark drafted first overall to the Indiana Fever. Great news. Surprising news. No one knew that could happen. Great. Her contract was released, Jake. And I'm not sure if people, it's just like every sport. The contract, the dollar amount's locked in. So when it was announced, people were surprised. Probably shouldn't have been. But Caitlin Clark, her salary for the first year for the Indiana Fever is going to be just north of $76,000. And people are outraged. Yeah. Super outraged. 4 years, $338,000. Still not good, right? For the amount of money Caitlin Clark's bringing into the league, the fact that she's making that little, not very good. And I understand for the people wanting to comment, wanting to shout at me, I understand their sponsorship money. Okay. I understand she's not poor. I understand she's playing a game. Yeah. But for what she's bringing the league, she's grossly underpaid, obviously. So let's play a game about it. Jake, I have some things lined up for you. You have to tell me, can Caitlin Clark afford that with her first year salary, that $76,500 salary? Are you prepared? Are you ready for this?
I am ready as someone who makes scarily close to that amount of money.
Not having to shoot.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. But could I guard her for a minute? No.
Yeah, I don't think so. But I think you could score on it.
That's crazy. I can't believe I said a minute. Yeah. I don't think I could guard her for 3 seconds.
No. Could you guard anybody for a minute? A minute's a long time.
That's awesome. Why would I say that? She could do a lap in a minute.
Yeah. Could you stop her from scoring 20 in a minute? Still probably not, but that's close.
I don't know if I could stop her from moving in a minute.
Yeah. Again, you're setting the bar very high, but
yeah.
Whatever.
Crazy call by me. But I love Price is Right, and I'm here to play.
So there's 9. So I think you got to get 6 or more correct to be a winner here.
Yeah.
Or more than, I'll say more than 6. You got to get above 66%. Okay?
Okay. That I can do.
First one. Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's coming to Indianapolis in November. How much, or can Caitlin Clark afford 2 front row tickets to that Taylor Swift show in Lucas Oil? Prices courtesy of SeatGeek, no longer a sponsor. Used to be a sponsor back in the heyday of the FlurrySports Podcast, but they can't keep up. So can Caitlin Clark, without our former promo code, afford 2 front row tickets for her and apparently Fran McCaffrey's son, who is her boyfriend? Didn't know that. Bad taste in men, apparently. Can she afford that, Jake?
1, shout out SeatGeek. Come home, baby boy. But 2, so for the game, you're asking me, is this price less than like her annual budget, right?
Correct. Can she afford 2 tickets to see Taylor Swift?
Gotcha. Okay. Because again, someone will be like, well, she's worth more than that, but on that salary, I'm with you. That's a no. I feel like you're starting me easy. I think that's a pretty obvious no.
Jake, she can afford it. She's not going to have much money left, but she can afford it. These tickets, Jake, are only $24,700 a piece. Wow. So combined about $45,000 or $49,000. A lot of money, but she can afford it. She cannot afford rent afterwards. No, she can afford that.
Okay, well, all in the hole. How many do I have to get $10?
Okay, now we'll say 6 or more. 6 or more all correct, right. Then you get the $10. Okay,
I'm in. Okay.
Next one, Jake. There's 2 pictures, so you can ask me to show you both pictures however many times you want if you believe that will help you. Okay.
Okay.
3 acres of land in Indianapolis. It is unrenovated. It is out in the boondocks there. You can see here, there is sort of a bridge, sort of a rundown bridge there. So there's some landscape. You could do some stuff with it. Can she afford 3 acres of land in Indianapolis?
Oh, okay. For those of you not watching, it definitely looks like behind every library I've ever seen.
True.
Land's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 acres. So are we talking more than 25 an acre? God, I feel like I'm going to say she can. I feel like she can afford 3 acres.
You're saying can or cannot?
She can.
Jake, she cannot afford. Look at this land.
God.
This costs you about $90,000, $89,900. Like you said, land's expensive. Land don't go down in price. That's all I know.
It's true. Even land that looks like that is the result of an oil spill. I mean, that's pretty gross land, dude.
Yeah, not great land, but it was listed on Trulia.
Jesus. Okay.
Indianapolis, prime real estate.
Yeah.
Clark's in town.
It's true. Yep. They're hiking it up in case she wants it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you're 0-2, but this next one will be easy for you, Jake. So okay. Caitlin Clark, I would argue she is the biggest star to come to Indianapolis since Peyton Manning. You know, there's Andrew Luck in there. I would say she's a bigger marketable star than Andrew Luck.
Tyler Halliburton.
Personalities. Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, people, he's not very exciting either. I like him, but I think she's a bigger star than him. Fair. No offense, Tyrese. So following in the footsteps of Peyton Manning, could she franchise a Papa John's? One store. Lowest end store. I took the lowest end price.
Oh. I'm trying to think of the average income and feel like they want people to be able to do it. Maybe I'm off on this, but I feel like that's a yes. I feel like yes.
It has to have everything into it. So there's a franchising fee. You have to have enough money on hand. There's a lot of things here. So can she franchise a Papa John's?
If that's yes and you talk me out of it, fuck you. I'm going to say no, she can't.
She cannot. I think there's a chance she could afford like the lowest possible franchising fee, but you have to have $250,000 liquid. She does not.
Correct. I appreciate the clarification because it makes a huge difference to know that like it needed to come stocked. Okay.
So she cannot follow in the footsteps of Peyton Manning. She can't be a Jonathan Taylor of sorts owning pizza chains. Can't do that, unfortunately. She can, however, go to see Taylor Swift so far. So you're 1-2. And Jake, Caitlin Clark likes to have fun.
Okay.
I would say. What's the most fun you could have? No need to answer. I have it for you. Getting a pontoon. Now, this is no ordinary pontoon here. As you can see here, this
must go.
This is a 2023 Starcraft SLS3. You're like, oh no, that's very expensive. I will say all boats must go. Blowout sale. He may have stolen these and is selling this on Craigslist because, as you can see, this is a real Craigslist ad I found in Indianapolis, so nearby. Can Caitlin Clark afford this 2023 pontoon?
Going off of the must-go piece and having multiple boats to get rid of, I feel like this pontoon at its peak, my guess would be is more than this, but like I don't feel like it would be outrageously more than this. But am I a boat guy? No. But I'm gonna think she could afford this must-go boat.
Jake, you are absolutely correct. Nice. I completely agree with you. Before the sale, I'm not sure if she could afford this. Could she afford this and go to see Taylor Swift? Absolutely not, because this will cost you $59,495. But great year for a pontoon, as we know, and the memories you would make. She could bring almost her full team on that thing. Probably, it'd be great. It'd be fantastic.
Imagine having multiple boats that you had to sell.
I'm telling you, all boats must go means he stole a lot of boats.
Or he hates them.
Or he hates them.
Maybe. All boats must go.
All of them. I hate them. Get rid of them. Okay, next, Jake.
2-2.
2-2. And we are on to Cybertruck. There's 3 different kinds of Cybertrucks. There's the rear wheel drive, the all-wheel drive, which is what we're talking about, and then there's one other one. So we're talking about the mid tier 1 delivery in 2025, alleged, who knows. We got a 4.1 second 0 to 60 miles per hour, 112 top speed, 600 horsepower, 11,000 pounds of towing capacity. You could tow that pontoon for sure, but could Caitlin Clark afford it?
So my reference point here is I feel like Tesla's at their peak, and maybe they're still at this, but like when they first came out and they were like, we promise they'll get cheaper, they were $100K. Yeah. I think this is, I'd guess this is more than that. I will be pleasantly surprised if this is affordable for Caitlin Clark's price. I'm going to say she cannot afford a Cybertruck.
It's under $100K.
Okay.
But she cannot afford it. Almost. Okay. $79,000.
Oh, shit.
Basically $80,000. But yeah, close. It was a tricky one. I thought the 11,000 pound towing capacity would get you, but it did not. So congrats to you there.
They do have to, like, trucks are for poor people. We gotta lower it a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've seen a few of these in the wild. Not personally, like videos. Anthony Edwards pulled up to the playoff game of one of these things. They don't look good. I don't get it. I don't understand.
They don't look good. Yeah.
It looks like the metal sheet box that I made in high school when I was learning how to spot weld.
100%. It looks like if Kia Soul made a truck.
Pretty much is.
We can only do geometric shapes.
Yes. Let's round those edges a little bit.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Next one, we're on to number 6, and you are 3-2.
Okay.
I believe.
Yep.
Right? Yes.
On a hot streak.
Here we go. Can Caitlin Clark afford to sponsor the goalposts and nets for a season for the Minnesota Myth? This is an AFL football team. These are the prices they contacted me about for sponsoring them. And if it gives you a nice little hint, I did not do it. So you get a full season. I believe that is 3, maybe 4 games of sponsoring the goalposts and sponsoring the nets. Could Caitlin Clark do this?
Now that's interesting because it could be pretty close. I could see them doing 20K a game, which would put it over. I could also see them doing 10K a game, which would put it under. That's the real wiggle room here. This feels like it's going to be close to me. But I think it's I'm going to say it's just affordable. I'm going to say, yes, she could afford it.
I believe you were spot on with one of your guesses.
Fuck.
So yes, she can afford this. I believe
nice.
It's I think it's $10,000 per game.
Oh,
it's
great.
$40,000. And I said, for a goalpost? And I was a little sassy, if you could believe it. I did not do it.
That's insane. Go to the game. Wear a t-shirt, front row for less money.
There were so many packages that I'm like, this is stupid. Sponsoring the after party. How many people are going to be at the after party of an AFL football game? Can't be that many. I'm not going to pay $100,000 for that. Sorry. Stupid. Now I'm airing it out on the FlurrySports Podcast.
That's right. Take that, Mint. Love the logo, by the way.
I agree.
We'll
love the
back a little
colors.
Bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bingo. Okay, this next one's a tough one.
Can I take a timeout? This is so off-brand, but I think it's going to make you laugh.
Okay.
It's been a long time since we said this. Absolutely fuck you, Washington football team. Fuck you. It's so easy to make a team name.
Yeah, so easy. We're going to see it with the new Utah hockey team. They're going to nail it. I guarantee it. It's going to be great.
It's more proof those teams didn't want to pick a good one so that they could crawl back 10 years later when they felt like people didn't care. Makes me so mad because it's like all we did there, alliteration. I guarantee you, give me nouns that start with M.
Right. Yeah. There's other great nouns that start with M too.
By the way, you know how I know Washington could have done that? How do you think they came up with fucking Wizards?
Right. Yeah. And that's fine. I'm not saying it's great, but it's better than Commanders.
100%. And they should have been the Warlocks. We should have just kept it going.
That would have been great. That would have been really good.
Or Whirlpools. I like that.
I was a little worried about what your score would be at this point, Jake.
4-2. We're good.
Yeah. You have 4 wins, but I included this next one for you because I needed a layup.
Nice.
And everyone who's a fan of the show knows our backgrounds, knows you're just a farm boy. You knows how we showed cattle. So this next one, Jake. Oh, look at this beaut.
Oh, let's go. Okay.
We got a PB Cemental heifer, born March 17th.
7 tall. You Yuppie. Jesus.
Sorry, Semitol. All I know is she's a beaut. That's a beautiful animal right there.
Wow.
Comments. Known as the bad girl around here. By the way, Jake, I Googled showing heifers for sale. And this one specifically says, we tried to show this one about 10 times. To be honest, she was tough to break and she would get frustrated and would kick her back out. And then I would see her and then she would try it again. So immediately, this is a cow that I would be showing just to kick the shit out of me. That'd be fun. She's one of the tamest, though. She just wasn't meant for the ring. I shouldn't be selling this thing, but my house and barn are not finished. And when they say they tack on an extra 20%, they weren't kidding. So, Jake, can she afford this? And if it helps you, I do have a video.
Oh, I'd love to see the video.
Okay, here we go. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, that's a blue ribbon, but again, cannot show. So potentially for breeding purposes here.
That's breeding.
But Caitlin Clark gives me a little bit of horse girl vibes. I'm not gonna lie. She's definitely borderline.
Beautiful heifer. That's a shame they couldn't get it to show.
I know. Beautiful, beautiful heifer located in Iowa. So, I made it nice and convenient for Caitlin. Can she afford this beautiful animal?
She walks a little frumpy. Her top line doesn't stand firm, but I would say
she needs a nice haircut courtesy of Pete Osmond, I think.
Yeah. I want to let the people know where my confidence level is here. It's not like over the moon. We didn't if dad was selling, if dad was like, do you think this cow's going to get this much money? He's like, where was my fucking money? So my temptation is lower right away. Cause it's a crazy amount for any animal. I think if my bet is right, it's less, but I bet for a top line bull, you could get more because you'd get more breeding stock out of it, to your point. If they're just selling this cow for breeding stock, I mean, you'll get something out of it, but you'll get one animal a year. And all that to say, I could be totally wrong, but my guess is it's a lot of money, but it's less. So I'm going to say she could afford it.
I was looking at some bulls for breeding ahead of time as well.
Yeah.
Those, sold anywhere between 8 to 12K, I would say.
Okay, good. I didn't want to be too cocky, be like it's way less, but
this one went for higher than I thought. She was definitely the outlier, especially considering you can't show her, but she did go for less. Caitlin Clark can afford her. Only $15,500. Yeah. What a deal.
Jesus, they must have a lot of stuff to do on that house.
Yeah, I would say so.
One
I like
cow?
how they undersold her, though.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
One twisted ankle, and that's $15,000 of chopped beef.
Well, look at her. That's an easy animal to clean, too. So
the bad girl.
The bad girl.
It is. That's an all-time line by you. It is an easy one to clean.
Yeah, for sure. We got 2 left, Jake, and we're going back into the world of basketball.
So as long as I don't get both of these wrong, I'm good.
Correct. Yep. You got to get one of these 2.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, no.
The James Harden fine. Could she afford to pay James Harden's fine when he talked about how Daryl Morey's a liar? And he said, let me say it again. Daryl Morey's a liar. I will never play for the 76ers again. James Harden was fined, I believe, by the league for tampering with trades or something because of this video. Could she afford to pay James Harden's fine here?
So we are on the only one I feel like I've heard the number before. Okay. Because it was reported when it came out. My memory is that I was like, I feel like the noteworthy of this was everyone was like, that's ridiculously high. Why? Yeah. So my gut reaction is that his fine was about 80-some thousand. So I'm going to say she could not afford his fine, especially since he doubled down.
Jake, you're wrong about the number. But she could not afford it. He was fined $100,000 for that.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah. So of her 4-year contract, almost a third of it would go to that.
That's not even I feel like there's got to be something in there of I know this is petty, but it's he's lied before. Who hasn't? Right. It's not like he's slandering him. That one hold up in court. That sucks.
Yeah, there has to be returner fee or something. Like, we've been here, we know ya. Up it a little bit, up 10% or something.
I mean, he for sure paid more because he's been more of an ass lately.
I suppose. But I mean, Daryl Morey's an ass. Let's all forgive him. Let's forgive James Harden. How about that? Okay, Jake, you won. You got $10.
Yes.
Do you want to be risky and go for more money or no? Or are you just going for bragging rights with this?
We've doubled every time. I'm going for bragging rights this time. I need to get the lead here. Okay. So I'm going to stay calm, especially because I've been kind of shaky on a lot of these. And I feel like you could have gone wild on the last one.
Okay, so if you get it right, $20 for you. If you get it wrong, 10 for me. I'll just do 10. Okay?
What?
Well, if you win the game, if you lost the game, I would have got $10, Jake. We explain this every time.
No. Okay, correct. I just got confused because I was like, how do you still get money? I just said, no, I don't want to. But okay, now I'm with you. Okay.
Last one. Gainbridge Arena is where, or Gainbridge Fieldhouse, I believe, is where Caitlin Clark is going to be playing her home games for the Indiana Fever. Obviously, she can't afford to buy everybody, if it's a sold-out crowd, her jersey, Jake. That would be ridiculous. Like, who could afford that? On a WNBA player salary? Yeah, right. My question to you, can she afford 1/4 of the attendance jerseys? 1/4 of the fans?
Now let's take some educated guesses, people at home. I'm going to guess that stadium, I'm looking at a photo of it, can hold 8,000 people. So that would be, could she afford 2,000 jerseys? I'm going to guess, but jerseys might not be that much. Let's say the jerseys are $50. That would be no. I think, I feel like I could be under on how much the jerseys are and under on how much the stadium is. So I feel like I'm safe to say she can't afford it.
Jake, wildly off on both numbers you gave, but you're absolutely correct that nice. She cannot afford it. A sold out crowd's 18,000.
Okay.
So about 4,500 people we're talking about.
Fuck.
Here.
I'm only looking at half of the stadium. Shit.
That is correct. So yeah, there's a behind the camera. But 4,500, her jerseys are $100. So even for a quarter of the people, 450. Yeah. She couldn't afford it in her entire contract.
No.
$450,000. Yeah, right.
Jerseys are so much. That was the one where I was like 50's low. Just made for easy math. Okay. Hey, not bad. 7-2 and 7 in a row.
True. Yeah, you went off at the end there. I'm proud of you. But I think the point of this is that Caitlin Clark can't afford much. She's not getting much money there.
No. And I mean, we're going to go to another game, but I think it's worth noting for folks, and you were kind of touching on this before the show. I will say, should she make more money? 100%. You can go into even more detail on it. For people alarmed at how much she makes, I would point out, I mean, some people are talking about like, you know, who's not going to make as much money as most quarterbacks? Caleb Williams. Want to know why? He's a rookie.
Right. Of course. I mean, still millions.
I mean, millions. And I'm not saying like the women's price should come up, but I just think people were like, I would guess most people think she's now the highest paid player in the WNBA.
Right. Yeah. It's not close in a way. I mean, dollar amounts wise, it's pretty close, but in terms of percentage wise, it's not close. But Jake, I understand you're like, okay, rookie deal, like whatever. And you're in agreement with the WNBA commissioner, so congratulations.
That's not everyone should go up. Everyone should go up. But I've seen everyone be like, I can't believe most WNBA players make $30,000. And I was like, one, I could believe that. Two, they don't.
Yeah. No, right. But the WNBA commissioner actually said that the fact that Caitlin Clark's rookie deal is so low compared to everybody, that's a false narrative. She came out and said that it's a completely false narrative. Actually, if you look at where the NBA was at this point in their existence, because we're heading into our 28th year, completely different. It's not even close. We're so much further ahead. Jake, so the NBA had their first year in 1949, 1950. That means their 28th year was in 1977. I'm not adjusting for inflation because I'm going to give the commissioner the benefit of the doubt, right? She probably did her research.
Yeah.
1977, the highest paid player was Kareem, if you've heard of him.
Yeah, 77, as soon as you said that year, I'm like, this is going to be a wash. I didn't realize. Yeah,
WNBA is so much further ahead. He made $650,000. Yeah. Again, we're talking about the highest paid player. So we got to compare that to the WNBA's highest paid player, which is $252,000. So a little lower. And, fine. We'll just, maybe Kareem was an outlier. The dude's incredible, right?
Yeah.
Legend.
All timer.
A year before that, so the NBA's 27th year, the average salary was $130,000, which would be a star, absolute star in the WNBA. So no, the WNBA is not further ahead, especially when you consider all of their reliance on the NBA to help them with marketing and funding and all of that. So not a good argument, I would say. And I feel like no one's talking about her comments.
I also feel like what a joke of an answer from like the one commissioner who could afford to say like, we would love to pay people more if we made more money.
Yeah. And I believe in the same interview, or maybe it was the day later. I'm not sure. So maybe I'm mixing this up, but she talked about how the NBA will still pay for all of the charters for their players this year. So that's great. They're flying on a regular plane with other people, but they won't have to pay their own way to the games. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. There's other stuff though, Jake. Like the WNBA is just not very, I don't know. They're not doing great, but it sounds like there's going to be another women's basketball league. So that's great news. There's, I believe this summer, or not this summer, but coming up very soon, they're starting a 3-on-3 women's basketball league. Okay. Which I'm sure is great news because there's only 6 players we actually care about. So there's at least 2 teams. That's fantastic news.
They'll be affiliated with the WNBA?
I don't think so. I don't think so, but there is going to be another women's basketball league because competition, rising tide raises all boats, right? I'm sure that'll be great.
Well, and I'm sure it's the same. I haven't followed this in a while, but the whole thing, maybe they'll be allowed to because for a while the WNBA wasn't doing year-long contracts. Hence why Brittany Griner got detained in a foreign country.
I believe this is to help that. They're going to be playing on the off season, so hopefully they can do that instead of playing overseas. But again, that only helps the star players, and even still, no one's going to care about it. People don't care about the big 3, and there's way more star power in the big 3 than there's going to be in this.
Also, I know it's not apples to apples, but we also detain people for marijuana use. Not as bad. We don't use them as a prisoner of war, but we did stop that one lady from competing in the Olympics.
That is true. But the WNBA, up and to the right still, because Jake, by 2028, they're planning to expand to 16 teams. So 4 more teams. And that's going to solve all of their issues, according to the commissioner. But I don't really understand why that helps. Doesn't really make sense to me.
No.
But you know what? Do you know why there's such a big wage gap between NBA and WNBA, Jake?
Why is that?
Because WNBA sucks. It's not very good. It's not very interesting. 90% of the games suck. There's some great players. There's some great games. Try to find one. Tough to find one.
Coverage is bad. Teams are not balanced at all.
And this isn't like a hating on women's sports. It's because women's basketball isn't invested in at any level.
Correct.
Any level. Like, I think the youth programs are definitely much better now. And I think as you get higher and higher, there's less investment. Like, I think high school basketball, there's some investment there. I think college, obviously, we just saw the past 2 years, I guess, really. And then pros, I think there's no investment really whatsoever, especially by the owners here. I think more than anything, owners don't invest into their product whatsoever. And if you just invest into your product, you're going to get better results. That's just how it works. But like, it feels like, I'm not sexist, I own a WNBA team.
Yeah.
Like, to the point, there's a WNBA owner like 2 or 3 years ago who said I think he maybe was joking, but even still, not really. He's like, I thought about trying to give the team back to the WNBA because I'm making no money and it's a lost cause. It's just a sunk cost every year. Like, okay, invest into it. Do something.
Well, and they don't care. Most of them will admit to you they wanted it because A, it was a sports team they could afford, or B, most of them are trying to get their foot in the NBA door.
Yeah, it just makes no sense. They treat it like it's a charity. Like, they give the bare minimum and then it's like, okay, I have this thing. But like, you look at like Ice Cube offered Caitlin Clark $5 million to play 10 games. Like, clearly it's like, you just invest into your product. Like, you pay the players, you pay people to like attract people there, and you're just going to get a better result. That's all it is. That's all you have to do. But Jake, that still doesn't solve the question. Like, we're all outraged, right? I don't think anybody could like be like, okay, yeah, obviously women's basketball should get paid more, but if they're not making money, then why should we, they're getting paid relative to what they earn. And I think that's fair. To be completely honest, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But go. I have a final.
My only thought there was going to be, I agree with you completely. I think it's very ownership and very league of like, yeah, I think they're gouging them. Like, I think right now this is getting a lot of attention of like, they can afford to pay them more. Any fucking sports league. Like, I have to hear that all the time. Anytime like the NFL or MLB like negotiates for prices, it's like, these millionaires want more money. How much do you think the league makes? Like, way more than what they give. So I think that's consistent. It's making me a little mad that like here at the lowest level, we're like, come on, treat them right. And it's like, okay, well, we've got multi-billion-dollar organizations in other sports, nickel and diamond guys, and holding rookies to smaller contracts when they're not worth. I think there's some valid points. I just think like we're maybe, and I don't know if this is right or not, but my big thing is like, I just like, it rings so hollow when I know you don't care about women's basketball. You care about Caitlin Clark, but I'm happy she's bringing a spotlight to it. But
For
like
sure.
these issues have been there. And if anything, my hope is that college basketball, women's college basketball, can retain enough spotlight that it drags the rest with it. Of like, if women's basketball in colleges becomes a money-making thing, especially now with NIL, maybe some like second tier D1 schools can focus on women's basketball. That could be like, I mean, look at the teams that were great this year, take out UConn, and maybe that's why they're falling back a little bit, because there's men's programs so good, there's only so much money to go around. But it's like USC, Baylor, Iowa, guess what sport they might end up spending the most money on? They can't win any of the other ones consistently. So it's like, maybe women's basketball will be their one. I think that's great. But yeah, I think it's a little bit boy who cried wolf.
Yeah. I think the problem is with the owners, and it trickles down. And you talked about how they're gouging the players. And I will say, Jake, that's the biggest thing here that I feel like people aren't talking about. So for like revenue split here, the NBA splits the revenue 50-50. The NFL is close to 50-50. Would you like to venture a guess what the WNBA revenue split is?
I mean, 70-30.
It's worse. It's 80-20.
Oh my God.
Like, so it's like, we can't afford to pay him more. Really? Because like, let's do 65-35. That's way different.
Well, every year, shouldn't we be getting closer? Shouldn't this be a like incremental shift? Like, I that's the part that drives me nuts. Is, to your point, I feel like they're yelling at us saying, we'll care when you care. And it's like, no, we should care when you care. You're running it. Like they're like, we'll run it different when it's successful. And it's like, it's your business.
Right. So
no one's making you run it.
The commissioner's like dangling these false carrots in front of everybody. It's like, okay, first off, well, she starts it with saying that the wage gap, essentially, that Caitlin Clark's not getting paid enough, is false narrative, which is bullshit. It's not a false narrative. Whether she gets sponsorship money doesn't matter, because like the amount of money she brings into the league, she should get paid a little bit more. Whatever. Who cares? But then she talks about how there's these new media deals coming in. We're expanding the league. We're doing all of these things. All this new money is going to come in, and you got to get a ton of fucking money to make 20%. You know, they're only getting 20% of it. So like it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. So I did a little math here, Jake. Just to put it into a little bit of a picture, that for the people who are, by the way, I don't like Caitlin Clark that much. I think she's fine. This isn't like a Caitlin Clark stand coming out here. Trust me.
No.
Let's be very conservative and say the Fever sell 5,000 extra tickets per night this year compared to last year. Last year they sold around 5,000. They were one of the worst in the league. The Las Vegas Aces actually set the new record by averaging around 10,000 per night. So let's just say they get to par with the Aces, which I think is conservative. They're going to do that. They're going to get 10,000 per night.
Yeah.
And then you can already look at ticket prices. Again, last year they were under 50. They were like around $40 per ticket. Let's just say they go up $50, which again is far less than what I'm already seeing for mini games. So let's just say they get an extra 5,000 seats, an extra $50 per ticket. That means they're getting the owner is getting an extra $250,000 every night. So because of the split, they're getting an extra $200,000, right?
Correct.
Because of Caitlin Clark's contract, she's getting paid $2,000 per game. So we're talking about $200,000 versus $2,000. And it is Caitlin Clark bringing in those people, right? We don't need to pretend. Yeah. It's not like, oh, college women's basketball is so much better now. I mean, maybe it is a little bit, but not enough to bring in 5,000 new people. It's Caitlin Clark. So we're talking about 100 times more money going to the owners than to her. And you don't think that you think that's fine? Because I don't. Like, that's stupid. That's ridiculous.
No. And I like it because I think they will make the argument, well, we're a fledgling league. We need that money. I think you're a fledgling league, so you should treat your stars better. Like, I think, one, we should use that math should appall people no matter what the sport is.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, Shohei Ohtani in Los Angeles when he played for the Angels, like, didn't make any more money, even though he turned them into the top 10 most valuable team in the league. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's crazy. Or it's like, for years when people were like, I mean, why would we pay college players? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because Johnny Manziel made Texas A&M about $1 billion. Like,
Tim Tebow. Yeah, you can go on and on.
100%. And it's like, especially for colleges and now like these fledgling things, I think it's even more important that it's like they get rewarded for that. You know, we're not even, to your point, it's like, we're not even talking 50-50. Like, I'm not even talking.
That's the worst part. And people are just like not even mentioning that. Like, how can it be 80-20? That's so fucking stupid.
Correct. And not wiggle at all when it's so obvious she's helping. If anything, they're like, thank God we're going to make a bank off of her because she's going to bring in so much money. And by the way, not that it's the most important piece, but goes back to just like any player in any sport, make so much money. Pray to God she doesn't get hurt in her first 5 years. I know she's set. She's good. This is rookie money. And she should be making more, but it's like, if she right now could get not rookie salary, she'd get $300K a year. She can't even make that.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I don't get it.
I know.
I don't even.
Can I talk? Sorry, I had to segue. I'll save it.
Okay. I was just thinking like a comparison. And truly, I think the only close comparison to this Caitlin Clark thing is Messi. Like there's situations where it's like, it feels like big fish going into small pond. And then I had to think about it. And I want to ask you this. Like, I think going from women's college basketball, where it has been the past few years, I think going from there to WNBA is a step down.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So could you imagine Messi taking a contract with the MLS without like ownership share and stuff like that?
No, I mean, it's how they got him.
Right. It's insane. Like, and if he did, he would have come here and done jack shit. He would have done nothing. Yeah. But the difference here is Caitlin Clark's getting exploited, which whatever. and she's welcoming it. She's like, exploit me so more women can play basketball, so I can inspire more people to play basketball, which is such a weird dynamic here. Like, she's welcoming the exploitation. Mm-hmm. So like, it makes me feel like I shouldn't be this mad. It's very weird. It's very weird.
I think you should be mad. I think Caitlin Clark knows that she has to exist in the system to move the system. Yeah. I find her refreshing in the sense that, like, I think she's unabashedly and unshamefully taking every opportunity to make money she can. And I fucking love it. I know she was kidding, but it's like she appeared on the McAfee show and he's like, I guess we'll see you every week. And she's like, call me.
I don't know. I think
kidding,
by the way.
No, looking at her, I she's hard to read. She'd do it, dude. If she gets the right number, she's there every week.
Yeah, I think she's going to do it. McAfee pays his regular guests because he just feels like that's what you should do. I bet he pays her more than what she makes for her salary. Guaranteed.
Correct. For like a year? I mean, for sure, yeah. I would guess.
Even just for the season, for however long that is.
Correct. So when she said that, I'm like, I mean, that's genius. That's so good. So I love that she's soaking that stuff up. But yeah, I mean, she's still not getting paid enough. It's one of those things where it's like, again, I keep going back to baseball, but I think their contracts are just the most applicable, where they get like demonized for making money. And it's like, they're worth more. They're worth more. She's worth more. Like, yeah. I understand she's a millionaire because of her sponsorships. She is getting screwed. Now,
it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. No. If you want to argue women's basketball players get paid a low amount of money because of the amount of money they bring in, then she should be the exception because of how much money she brings in.
Correct. I also think the lowest hanging fruit of sports, like, because women's basketball doesn't have the same, to your point, like credit or panache as some of these other leagues that are better and have more market, but like they get dinged for like, well, how much money should basketball players make? I don't know, man. How much money do basketball players make? Like, that is the world we live in. Like, it is just the value of it. Like, I've never understood that argument with sports of like, why should I take less than what people are offering me?
Exactly.
Like, what I am worth. Like, it's like, she is worth millions. Like, why shouldn't she be paid that?
She should play Big Three. I know the WNBA is telling her not to. She should. Why shouldn't she take $5 million? That's the salary cap for like 3 teams in the WNBA. 3 teams full salary cap to play awesome. 10 games.
Yeah. Okay. I know.
Hit me with a segue.
Can I talk to you about some other guys who aren't going to be paid as much as they should?
Let's do it.
The boy